This is the new Rode Wireless Go Gen 3, or at least it was new until Canada Post decided not to deliver it because of a strike. Thanks, Canada Post. Somewhat expected, somewhat unexpected. But there are some questions to be answered. First is why? Second is how does it compare to the Pro version, and will that impact your choice? And also, is it a viable upgrade if you're rocking the Go 2? And finally, why is purple the best color? So these things are kind of as you would expect from Rode and their wireless lineup. Outside of that different logo, this is basically the same outer shell as the Pro version. But if you're comparing it to the Go 2, there's some important differences to point out. First of all, and perhaps aesthetically, the top logo plate on the old unit was just flat, while the new one has a slight bezel to it. It's something small, but it does give it a bit more of a premium feel to the 3rd gen. The lights on the top of the unit are bigger on the 3rd gen, much like the Pro, and that is just a flat out upgrade. Not to mention the additional light on the Gen 3, something that only adds to the usefulness of it. On top of the receiver, you're going to notice an extra button, which is always a nice touch. And of course, that locking connection for the lav mics is a big quality of life upgrade. But the only other difference between the two versions is that the Wireless Go Gen 3 is ever so slightly thicker, the transmitters are a gram heavier, while the receiver is a gram lighter. So there are a few notable differences in specs as well. First is the Max SPL. It's up to 123.5 dB from 112 dB of the Go 2. And if you're recording things at that level, you get a bit more room, but that's probably a bit of a niche usage, I'd imagine. The EIN goes down a dB from 23 dB A-weighted to 22 dB A-weighted. And it doesn't seem like much, but every dB coming off a wireless set for noise is an absolute bonus. The range goes up to 260 meters from 200, which is a pretty big boost. And if you're using it at that distance, I kind of want to hear back from you. I want to know what the use case is for it. And of course, you have the 32-bit float on the Gen 3 being a big uplift. Really though, Rode is just bringing these things up to par with what the rest of the world is kind of expecting from their wireless in 2025. Okay, now we have the Rode Wireless Go Gen 3 up against the older Wireless Go 2, and this is what it sounds like as I go between them. Now I have to fess up, this is the Rode Wireless 2, and this is the only one out of the 3 that still has enough battery to work. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But what do you think as I go between them, the Rode Wireless Go 2 and the Rode Wireless Go Gen 3? Let's move over to the Pro. Now we have the Rode Wireless Go Gen 3 up against the Rode Wireless Pro. This is going to be an interesting one to see if there's any differences. I am not aware of any capsule changes, but there's probably some internal changes between the Wireless Pro and the Wireless Go Gen 3. So let me know if you hear any differences between them. I'm going to try to match them up as much as I can in post just to see whether or not there is much of a difference between them. What do you think as I go between them though? So we're going to go walk down the end of the street. All right, this is the Wireless Go Gen 3 from Rode, and this is, well, at the end of the block. I have no idea how far this distance is, but the point of this is at a distance where I'm small enough that you might not be able to see me very well. All right, let's walk back to my camera. Really cool thing about the Rode Toque is this is a legit strategy for your lav mic. All you see is just these little furry things kind of hanging down in between your eyes. You get used to it after a while. We are in the depths of Canadian winter, and this is the Rode Wireless Go Gen 3, and this is what it sounds like as we do a walk around. It's rather cold outside, so I don't think I'm going to be doing this for too long, but this is the Rode Wireless Go Gen 3 on my winter coat, and yeah, let's go inside where it's warmer. Ugh. Now, I've seen a lot of people taking shots at this thing, which kind of makes me wonder. Now, if you've ever used the Wireless Pro at all, the idea of bulk access to everything all at once was an absolute game changer. Last year at NAB, it was a massive help to not only charge them all at once, but also to access all of the audio all at once. None of this swapping out, especially when you only have 1 or 2 open spots on your laptop to plug into. I cannot and will not go back to the old ways of swapping out. That data transfer makes all the difference in the world. Now, of course, you can buy the full case for the Wireless Go Gen 3, but not everybody wants that additional cost. So something like this is a huge help for content creators who are on the run and in need of a streamlined system that doesn't cost extra. This alone makes the Wireless Go Gen 3 the best option in this price point for wireless. Fight me. Okay, so I asked 3 questions in the beginning of this video. Let's get to them. The first up was, why? I mean, this thing is basically the Pro without the time code, right? Well, I think this is Rode responding to and bringing the Go series up to par with the expectations of 2025. Things like 32-bit float and locking lav connectors, they're not premium features anymore. And that's just the way of the world. But also, this opens up the Pro for an upgrade all its own, while not leaving the Go series behind the 8-ball. Next is how this impacts your choices as it comes to the Pro. Again, the differences are much smaller now, and until a new Pro comes out, well, here's the things you're going to want to consider. The Pro just flat out comes with more stuff. If you need all that stuff, hey, it's only $50 more. But let me tell you, this is way more portable than 2 of these. So be honest with yourself. Are you really going to use the included lav mics with this? Or are you just going to be like everyone else and hold it like a mic or clip it to your shirt or jacket? And of course, there is the time code. Do you need time code? There you go, your decision is made. Otherwise, this Wireless Go Gen 3 is a really compelling option when you compare it to the Wireless Pro. And the final question I asked is it worth it to upgrade to this from the Wireless Go 2? Let's look into that. Well, this is the one I think most people are wrestling with. And let me just be flat out honest. The upgrade is totally worth it. Just the peace of mind you get with the 32-bit float is really worth it, even if you don't use it. This thing, totally worth it. But you may have noticed during the comparisons in my use of the Wireless Go 2, let me remind you, the batteries pretty much died on the rest of the units. I only had the one left. But before we start the same old battery conversation, it's kind of my fault. I neglected to keep them charged and they stayed up on a shelf since I got the Wireless Pro. But let's go back to Peter's statement. These things are 4 years old now. So if I wanted, I could just send these back to Rode and get replacements, or I could upgrade. And true to his word, this is the seamless and cost-effective pathway for upgrade if you so choose. And these have been made to be rather compelling as well, which I think is the spirit of that guarantee from Rode. With advancements in products over the years and certain technologies becoming affordable, sometimes the upgrade path is exactly what you're going to want or even need. For me, if you're still making money on your work, this is a very easy choice for upgrade. If you aren't making money though, maybe the Wireless Go 2 is worth holding on to until that 5-year guarantee is up. Just a thought. Okay, let's close this off by seeing how the Rode Wireless Go Gen 3 stacks up against the rest of the wireless world. And to be fair, I have yet to review anything from the DJI wireless lineup. However, I'm hoping that changes this year at NAB. But while there are other options out there, Rode has a couple things that just keeps them coming back as the recurring nightmares to their competitors. And first up is this. And I know it might not make a bunch of sense if you haven't used it, but data transfer without swapping is that big of a deal. Once you have it, you really aren't going to want to lose it. Not to mention, Rode's ecosystem is just as much of a draw. These things all connect to the Rode boards, including the new Rodecaster Video, or even the new Rode Interview Pro to one of the receivers. The versatility of this ecosystem for anyone within it can be a massive deal. No one else offers that. And if you do plan on working your way into the Rode ecosystem, it's kind of like the Apple ecosystem. Once you're in there, all those little creature comforts are what keep you there. But, most importantly, Rode's unwilling to be outclassed. There's a reason this is seen on the jackets or the shirts of so many creators. What do you think though? Let me know down below. I'm curious what you think about this upgrade. Cheers guys, and thanks for watching.